created problems and have created a leadership crisis across Africa. They are not governing using the principles of good governance, and they are creating the conditions that make rebellion.
Hello, doctor.
Hear me?
Your line keeps breaking. If you can reposition yourself so that you continue with this conversation, that would be better.
Okay, can you hear me now?
It's better now. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm saying that the AU needs to revisit the concept of the African peer review mechanism, and there are reviews that happen in terms of human rights records of various countries. And there should be a think tank in Africa made up of people, respected people in Africa, who the AU can use as eminent persons to speak to heads of government all over the continent to ensure that they become responsible in their governance processes. As it is now, you have democratic despots that are not living up to the principles of rule of law, supporting the development of their people, addressing the key issues of poverty and human security across the countries. So I think that one of the problems that have to be tackled is that African leadership begins to talk to themselves, become responsible, so that we don't create a vacuum for the military to be taking over these situations. Because you see, if you are a soldier, one of the commitments you have is to prevent your country from dissolving into a state of anarchy. And so when they read the situation and they think that things are going to collapse, they will definitely try to intervene. And it's unfortunate that we are at this level, but I think we need to go back to the state to discuss what is responsible governance and what kind of leadership we require in Africa. And the electorates in Africa need to really, really reflect, and there should be a system in our democracies to call back government as it is done in places like Israel.
You made a valid point that we need to rethink the concept of African peer review. In relation to that and the suspensions AU has given to these countries, and even ECOWAS has also suspended some of these countries, will you think that suspensions are helping in any way to restore order in these countries?
No, I don't think that suspensions are helping, because you see, right.
Hello, doctor.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Please
so
go
I'm
on.
saying that the sanctions are not helping, obviously, because you impose sanctions on Mali. The next day there was a coup d'etat in Burkina Faso, and then the next time we are looking at what is happening in Guinea-Bissau, and I tell you, more are on the way, and governments need to prepare for it. You see, so the sanctions are not working, because when people are hungry, threats of expulsion from ECOWAS and African Union do not do anything to them, because practically, what does ECOWAS contribute? Burkina Faso has been fighting insurgency all this while. ECOWAS never sent troops there to help them. You know, what does Burkina Faso gain from ECOWAS? What does the Guinea-Bissau gain from ECOWAS? I'm not saying that ECOWAS is of relevance, but the point is that when conditions of people in the country are deteriorating, when people are hungry, they are without food and water, and their political leaders don't care about their situation, they complain, they demonstrate, use tears and police to beat them. I mean, those people do not care that ECOWAS is concerned about them. So it is important that we understand that the sanctions regime will not work. Libya developed under international sanctions. Iran is under international sanctions, and it's developing. It's become one of the serious powers in the world, military powers in the world, economic powers in the world. North Korea has been under sanctions for many years. They are developing. So it is important for us to understand that engagement is more important than this get out of our club thing. So if the country doesn't belong to ECOWAS, what happens? Now, one of the things I will argue that is a driver for conflict in West Africa now is Mali is facing acute challenges with their economy, fighting terrorist groups that have implications for the Sahel region and Chad and other Central Africa, and then you say we lock you up, when on your own to fight. You think that you have achieved anything? You only help the terrorists to fester, and they will break into other countries and take positions there and destroy other things.
Right. So with coups all over some parts of Africa, Ethiopia's war is also getting out of hand. People are starving. Medical doctors have not been paid for 8 months. Ethiopia airline staff are hiding in ceilings of aircraft in an attempt to flee the war. What does this all mean for Africa as a whole?
Like I said, it's a troubling event. It's basically saying that Africa has returned to those days when we were referred to as the Dark Continent. If Ethiopia, where the AU is headquartered, is in crisis, and the last time AU issued a statement on the Ethiopian conflict was somewhere in November of 2021. Imagine what is happening in Africa. It's like there is nobody in charge of Africa. And that's a huge problem. You hear of massacres, things that people are beginning to call war crimes happening in Ethiopia. And in Africa, it seems that we are the continent where our guns, which are made to defend our country, are rather being used to kill our own citizens. You know, and sometimes when you hear the narrative, you see what is happening in Ethiopia, the type of drones that the president has managed to acquire, the prime minister managed to acquire from UAE, from Turkey and other countries, and is using against his own citizens. You will marvel what is happening in Africa. So it is a disgrace of leadership in Africa. It is a sad moment in Africa that there is no one able to move and to stabilize Africa. And I think that African citizens need to rethink, constitutional experts need to rethink, political theorists need to rethink how we can model a system of leadership that is based on the African concept of leadership. Otherwise, it seems that the practice of Western democracy, we don't understand it, or we are rather misapplying its principles, and it is turning out to be to the detriment of our countries and our peoples. It's a very sad situation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vincent Azali Mensah. He is a security analyst and senior lecturer at the University of Education, Winneba, speaking to us on the recent coups in West Africa and other sub-regions. You're still watching News Hour live on GBC News. The Ghana Health Service has kick-started a nationwide COVID vaccination campaign to make vaccines accessible to everyone across the country. The idea is to vaccinate 2.5 million people from Wednesday, today, February 2, to Sunday, February 6, 2022. This will ensure the desired herd immunity. My colleague Valencia Tete was with the team from the service who embarked on the awareness drive and joins me in the studio with some updates. Valencia, welcome.
Thank you very much, Shirley.
Now, which areas did you visit?
Okay, so we visited the Ayawaso Central Municipal Assembly, and specifically the Tipton Lane. So we met some of the team over there. They launched their first day of the campaign. So, but as the time we got there, and we also visited the Ablikuma Central, specifically the Bano Hospital and St. Martin's Hospital, where a lot of people were passing by to take their vaccine.
So how was the acceptance level? Were people hesitant, or they were willing to line up or queue for the vaccination?
Okay, so a lot of people were there. So at the Tiptoe Lane, as at 10 a.m. we were leaving there. 41 people had already taken their jabs, and people were still trooping in to take their jab. And also at the St. Martin's Hospital too, a lot of people were there. They were even eager to take their vaccine. So you could see the eagerness to take the vaccine was encouraging.
Were they first-timers or people who were coming for their second doses?
Yes, so people were there to take their first dose, and some were there to take their second dose as at that time. And I had a conversation with a septuagenarian who was also there to take her vaccine. Her response to the vaccine was, she was so happy to that the team has come to their doorstep to take to vaccinate them. So she was very happy she wouldn't have to go to the hospital to be in a queue for a very long time to be able to take her vaccine. So she also encouraged her other colleagues to take their vaccine.
So there are people who have some perceptions about vaccinations. How is the team or the team you followed, how were they able to demystify these things? Was there an education before vaccination, or was just vaccination, or some community door-to-door education before vaccination?
Okay, so before they started the vaccination, they had to educate the people that they shouldn't fear, because there's no harm in the vaccine. So they should be encouraged to take the vaccine because there's no harm in it. So they educated them on the essence or the need to take the vaccine to be able to prevent the COVID-19 in coming to the system. So there was education about the vaccine. So both all the vaccines that were there, that's the Moderna, and the Pfizer, the Johnson & Johnson, they educated them on the need to take the vaccine, and also the booster jab too. They educated them on the need to take it.
So the booster jab is being taken alongside the first and second doses? As
the places we were, they weren't taking they weren't distributing the booster jabs, but the vaccines that were available that were there, they had to issue it to them. But for the booster, they hadn't started.
Okay, would expect more from you on our subsequent bulletin. Thank you very much. We've been speaking to my colleague Valencia Tete, who's just returned from the vaccination centers where the Ghana Health Service has started another phase of the COVID vaccination drive. Ramping up revenue mobilization from domestic sources are the surest way to put the Ghanaian economy on accelerated inclusive growth, says President Akufo-Addo. The president, who was addressing traditional leaders from Georgia in the Volta region at the Jubilee House, urged the nation to rally round the government as it tries to find new sources of revenue to bridge infrastructural gap facing the country.
The chiefs from Georgia were at the Jubilee House to congratulate President Akufo-Addo on his second term and appeal to him to address some socio-economic needs of the traditional area. Water, town roads and upgrading of a vocational training institute topped the wish list of the chiefs from Georgia.
Construction of a modern market in Georgia. The market arguably is one of the oldest and well-patronized markets in the southern Volta. Currently, the population and economic activities have outgrown the market, especially coming on the heels of the sighting of the ECOWAS border at Akanu, which was commissioned by Your Excellency himself. The market is no longer able to contain the increased economic activities within the Southern Volta enclave. Construction of new modern market in Georgia will enhance economic growth in the area and give our women a new breath of life.
President Akufo-Addo assured the chief that their concerns would be given the needed attention, but stressed the need to generate revenue domestically in order to improve the lot of Ghanaians.
Revenues during 2021, 2020, 2021 went down considerably because of the slowing down of economic activities that came from the COVID. And at the same time, government, in order to keep the country going, had to incur additional expenditures for the free water, the free electricity, the provision of free food. These were unavoidable expenses that government had to make. So the gap, the fiscal impact of what we had to do has been considerable. These are the efforts that we're now making, which are being resisted by the opposition to us, to try and close the gap. It's necessary for us to do so because that is the only way in which some of these matters can be addressed.
One of the indigenes of Georgia is the Chief Executive Officer of Buita, Mr. Kofi Jemesi, and the President commended him for his support to the NPP, both in opposition and in government. Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC News.
A fresh writ filed at the Supreme Court on Tuesday to place an injunction on the embattled Member of Parliament for Asin North, Mr. James Jetchikwason, has been adjourned indefinitely. The writ filed by a citizen of Asin, Mr. Michael Ankoma Nimfa, is seeking the Supreme Court to prevent Mr. Kwason from holding himself as an MP after the Cape Coast High Court declared his election null and void. The Supreme Court adjourned the matter after the writ could not be served on Mr. James Jetchikwason. We gleaned the thoughts of a private legal practitioner, Mr. Benjamin Techi Antiedu. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
Now, Mr. Kwason's election in the 2020 general election was annulled by the Cape Coast High Court, after which an appeal was filed and is still pending, but he continues to hold himself as an MP. Is that of no contempt to the court?
Well, if I got the question right, the point is that after the Cape Coast High Court decision, he appealed to the Court of Appeal. And that has, with some application, has stayed more or less the execution of the High Court judgment. But as at now, that application that was impinged on the Court of Appeal proceedings is still pending. And so it's not that the court decision has been made and then the member is still holding himself as such.
So if I get you right, it's still right for him to be called an MP. Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yes, because the appeal, you know, when you appeal against the decision of the High Court and then you apply stay of proceeding, and stay of execution, sorry, and both are served on the respondent. It serves as a stay for the first 2 weeks or so. But the question as to after that period, what happened? You see, there was even an earlier controversy about whether the Speaker has to declare even the seat vacant subsequent to the High Court decision. And the Speaker issued a statement or made a statement in Parliament saying that in reference to the appeal, we have to wait for the decision on the appeal to be made before the next step can be taken. So that is the explanation to that.
All right, so if a court adjourns the case indefinitely, what does that mean?
You mean the Supreme Court press case?
Yes, please.
Yes, so now you have the same matter pending at the Court of Appeal. And then there's a fresh action, this time a little different in terms of the legality, because here the plaintiff is seeking interpretation of Article 94(2)(a) to, ascertain or for the court to determine whether if you have a dual citizenship, it naturally also deprive you of your allegiance, and for that matter, you lose your seat. That is the new suit before the Supreme Court now. And as part of that process, I've read that application for injunction has also been put in. So that is what we have now. So this is a quite different action and is still not connecting, even though the central issue is the same. So it's for the Supreme Court now waiting for the member in this question to be served. So until the service, nothing can be done. But the court definitely upon the service will go ahead to hear the application. But as to when that will be done, it may not be reasonably contemplated. So the court will definitely have to decide whether or not to grant the injunction before it even goes ahead to determine the substantive matter, which is seeking interpretation of Article 94(2)(a) of the Constitution.
All right. So it says here that the Supreme Court adjourned the matter after the writ could not be served on Mr. James Jerchi Quayson. Help me understand this. If a writ cannot be served on a defendant, is there no process to compel the defendants to come to court?
Yes. You know, for every court process, it has to be served personally on the defendant. So here, once the person has not been served, it doesn't come within the jurisdiction or the powers of the court. It's as if nothing is against him. So now, you know, in his position as the Member of Parliament, an attempt was made to serve him from the records, but that was not successful, and they brought it to the court's attention. And so you read, I have read somewhere, not from official records though, that the court actually directed that the writ be served on him as an individual, personally. So if that is the case, then he has to be served as a person and probably not through the rigorous parliamentary service procedure. That is if what I've read from the unofficial source is correct. So until the writ and the accompanying process are served on him personally, that the case cannot be proceeded with. All right. So now, if further attempts are made to serve him personally as an individual for 3 consecutive times and they fail to achieve that, they can apply for maybe substituted service, where it can be published in the newspaper or maybe pasted at the court or some other places.
All right, thank you very much. We'll leave the conversation here and perhaps continue at another appropriate time. We've been speaking to Mr. Benjamin Techi Antiedu. He is a private legal practitioner on the Supreme Court adjourning the Asin MP's court hearing. Still in news, today is World Wetlands Day, a day set aside for global awareness creation about the significance of wetlands. The Sakumo Ramsar site is the largest wetland of international importance in Ghana, but today the site has been heavily encroached. It has become a residential area with various types of buildings. Our Tema regional correspondent Michael Dewanu has visited the site and joins us with some more details.
Today is World Wetlands Day, a day set aside to raise awareness about the importance of wetlands to the environment. We are here at the Sakumono Ramsar site, one of the largest wetlands in Ghana of international importance. But the site, as I speak to you, is heavily encroached with different structures. It has now become a residential area, losing its wetlands of international importance. We are here joined by friends of Ramsar, who is being engaging and fighting the cause of the Ramsar site.
Ghana is likely to be punished in the environmental circles because we have ascended to sign a treaty with the world, and the world holds this as very important treaty. That's why we are celebrating it today.
We want the Parliamentary Select Committee on this Ramsar. We were part of that. They should make the findings public so that we know what they've written in that document. And I know that when we carry that document, something good will happen. We need to restore this place. It's very bad character. Our institutions are very weak.
A committee was set up, which I happen to chair. The report is ready, and we'll see if possible tomorrow that report will be presented to the minister as it falls on the World Ramsar Day. So, but then we'll have to warn people who are encroaching on those lands. Please, nobody whatsoever can grant you title to that place. If you give money to anybody that person is selling land to you there, please, you are doing so at your own risk. Because once it's a gazetted area, It is only the president that can gazette land in Ghana. So no one can tell you that I'll do that. So please, those who are building there, this is a warning to them. Yes, the report has made recommendations, and we would ensure that we will enforce the recommendations of the report to the letter.
The only part surviving is this coconut farm that the Friends of Ramsar have planted to protect the Ramsar site. For GBC News, my name is Michael Dawano, reporting from Sakumo.
The Tema Metropolitan Assembly, sanitation agencies and other stakeholders have gone through the Tema Metropolis, educating people on the Operation Clean Your Frontage campaign. The campaign, which took off in Accra on Tuesday, is meant to enforce sanitation bylaws and ensure that our environment is spick and span. Last year, the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council launched the Operation Clean Your Frontage initiative for the Greater Accra region. It intends to deploy over 3,500 people to help put existing sanitation bylaws into effect. The Regional Coordinating Council seeks to make it obligatory for all individuals and corporate organizations to be involved in the cleaning and greening of their immediate surroundings. The campaign will, among other things, encourage the greening of the city. The necessary bylaws have been passed and gazetted by the 29 assemblies in the Greater Accra region. The team went through the principal streets in the Tema Metropolis with educational materials on the campaign. The Metropolitan Chief Executive, Mr. Johannes Ama Ashite, said the Assembly would make sure the task force is well resourced to do its work effectively.
They are undergoing training now, and when they are through, they will come back and join us. And for them, their task is to ensure that the work goes on there. You see, we are going to have a call center where people would make complaints. And when the complaints do come, it will go to these task force guys, and they will come and ensure that the job goes on well and it goes on smoothly.
The Operation Clean Your Frontage initiative is part of efforts by the government to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa. You're still watching Israel Live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. The Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council has begun the Operation Clean Your Frontage project to create awareness on the return of Town Council or Sama. A senior lecturer from the Institute of Local Government, Dr. Stephen Omari, says Town Council is an existing practice that only needs enforcement. He was speaking on our current affairs program, Focus.
At times people want to see the leader there, but there are times when we don't need the leader, we should be able to act. And it brings a lot of benefits to us if we are able to do that. So the bylaws are there. In fact, we have fantastic bylaws.
We have fantastic, beautiful sanitation laws.
So the problem is the enforcement. And the enforcement got to do with also interference from political actors. I had some students who are dehos and mehos, they will tell you that at times you go to a house, there's a problem over there, and then you send everything to the office for the person to be prosecuted, and then some political actors will come in and intervene, and everybody runs to these politicians for this thing. But we as a people, we need to be able to divorce ourselves from this political interference. The politicians should avoid doing that so that the MMDAs can do their work. We had opportunity as a country to be able to bring about a change when there was opportunity to do the what we call electing
MMDCs.
MMDCs, and we failed that one. Because if you are elected by the people and you are not depending on a political party, A, B, C, D, and they are actors, you'll be able to do your...
Robbery attacks on the Kaswa-Apam Highway in the Central Region is on the increase. In just 1 month, the region has recorded about 5 attacks. To help stem the tide of these robberies, the Central Regional Municipal District Security Council has held a meeting with 5 municipal and district assemblies at Winneba. The meeting discussed ways to intensify security on the road.
The 5 assemblies that participated in the meeting included the Efutu Municipal, Agona East and Agona West districts, as well as Gomoa East and Gomoa West districts. The assemblies are to partner the police to intensify road patrols on the highway to check highway robberies on the Kaswa-Apam stretch, which have increased in recent times. The Kaswa-Apam stretch alone has in January 2022 recorded 6 major robberies. The situation has been a source of worry to residents and commuters on that stretch. The Efutu Municipal Chief Executive told the media that the Assembly will do its best to deal with the security situation in the municipality.
Especially the policemen that Wababa, Groundson, we are more than ready to support them. That is Winneba Municipal Assembly, Gomoa East, Gomoa West, Gomoa Central, and then Aguna West. Yena ya krado de Yebobwa, Yeman, Yebobwa, Nkrofoa, Ye Shewodo, them within Onkrisi, Woyakwe Mubium.
In another development, a health center has been inaugurated at Dayoso, also in the central region. At the inauguration ceremony, the MP for Efutu constituency, Mr. Alexander Afenyo-Marken, advised the health workers to put in their best when dealing with patients. He promised the Assembly's continued support to the health center.
Former President Mahama has called on the citizenry to stay united and uphold tolerance in reverence to the ideals and legacies of the late President John Evans Atta Mills at an event to mark the 10th anniversary of the passing of the late professor and a memorial heritage. Mr. John Mahama said the nation must endeavor to stay in unity and truth in the face of adversity.
Pronouncing such figures in billions, and I want to remind you that I didn't even know how to translate them into OPPPP.
The John Evans Atta Mills Memorial Heritage is a non-profit, non-partisan organization which seeks to preserve and build on the legacies of the late President John Evans Atta Mills. It was established by a group of academics, professional colleagues, students, family and appointees of President Mills. The late J.E.A. Mills, the third president of the Fourth Republic, served as president from January 8, 2009 to July 24, 2012. The chairman of the JEA Heritage Board, Mr. Alex Segbefia, said the organization will deepen the legacy of President Mills's excellence in law, taxation and sports.
The highlight of the lecture will be a major lecture to commemorate the 10th anniversary of his death in July, the month in which he died. The activities will also include infrastructure projects, sporting activities, academic scholarships, especially in the areas of law and taxation, will also be arranged.
Speaker after speaker eulogized the late Professor Mills's passion and commitment to inclusivity, transparency, accountability, and his relentless quest for peace and a better society. Former President John Dramani Mahama was happy about the establishment of the JEA Heritage, saying that the organization would build on Professor Mills's legacies.
Prof detested comrades undermining each other. He had a practice of detaining the person who had come to make a negative report about a colleague to him. He detained you in his office. He quickly had the colleague about whom the report had been made brought to his office quickly. He then asked the one who had made the report to repeat what he had just told him. And in Ghanaian parlance, we say, come and see stammering. Nana Chairman, my brothers and sisters, these and many more recollections of this inspirational son of the land are the reasons Prof was and still loved by so many.
The organization would also engage in charity work and build the President's J.E.A. Mills brand as a model servant leader who invested in his people.
Listen to my voice. Do I look and sound like a cat hunter?
Meanwhile, speaking on GTV Breakfast, the chairman of the John Evans Atta Mills Memorial Heritage, Mr. Alex Segbefia, noted that the Memorial Heritage has no direct link with the John Evans Atta Mills Library in Cape Coast. He, however, welcomed any partnership with government for both institutions to work together.
We just felt after the 9th anniversary, a group of people just felt we were doing annual lectures, and we felt that that was not enough. We are actually the 4th organization to come out. Heritage is the 4th. And so others are trying to do something with regard to Prof, and we commend all of them. But we felt that there was still other things that could be done. And that is how, after the 9th anniversary, we decided, look, let's sit down, think about it, see how we could put together an organization, and that led to the birth of the John Evans Atta Mills Memorial Heritage. Political space and jostling amongst us, both internally and externally, is a problem, and it has gotten worse. That is why Kwame Penny's statement yesterday was profound. You had to have something. Professor Mills says, come, sit beside me. Let's talk. Everybody knew Kwame Penny is MPP. He himself said, I'm MPP. Everybody knows. But the president didn't deal with him as a person and what he had to offer. Not. And in hard political balance, it's unacceptable.
At the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Bernard Tete has revealed that rheumatoid arthritis is a common disease in Ghana that affects more women than men, with 10 cases recorded weekly. On GTV Breakfast today, Dr. Tete said the disease mainly attacks the joints, usually many at once. He disclosed that smoking predisposes one to the disease. Rheumatoid arthritis, or RA, is an autoimmune and inflammatory disease in which a person's immune system mistakenly attacks healthy cells in the body, causing inflammation or painful swelling at the affected parts of the body. The 2nd of February every year is set aside to create awareness about the existence and impact of this disease.
The complications of rheumatoid arthritis can actually kill if it's not managed well. But what happens is that it causes significant morbidity, where you have loss of function, you can't really do a lot of things. So it also increases your predisposition to adverse cardiovascular events.
Heart issues.
Heart issues. People actually come and say they think it's spiritual, that this thing isn't, there's no cure for it. I mean, yes, there's no cure for rheumatoid arthritis, and most people will tell you this is spiritual, that somebody in your family is doing you. But we tend to have to educate them continuously and advocate and tell them that the condition is real and is not caused by any spirits or witchcraft out there. It can be managed. There are a lot of treatments available. We have non-pharmacologic treatments and we have pharmacologic treatment. So we need to get counselors involved, well, where you need to look at what you eat. There are some meals or food that can actually worsen your arthritis or predispose to getting them. Increase in a lot of red meats can actually do that. Deficiency in vitamin D can actually cause that. People that are taking a lot of coffee can actually worsen your arthritis as well.
We have more news coming up. Please stay.
Safety first, yeah? Carry on.
Officer, are you doing the devil's work too?
Oh, yes, the pay is good.
But this driver could cause a lot of damage, you know?
Oh, who cares? Upon some they no pity. Everyone for himself.
Aren't you worried the service will dismiss you for conflict of interest?
Who's going to tell them about me? You?
You are setting a bad example.
Am I the first to do this? Oh, did you want to do me?
Do you see yourself stopping this job?
Good afternoon and welcome. Time now for the business segment. And I am Dorothy Ajamai. A visit by the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, to the National Service Scheme Secretariat in Accra has revealed that at least 112 million cedis has been saved from 14,027 potential fraudsters on the scheme. The NSS Secretariat attributes the feat to the introduction of digital technology in its operations in the last couple of years.
Monday, January 31, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia went on an unannounced visit to the NSS Secretariat in Accra to monitor their operations so far. The Executive Director of the National Service Scheme, Mr. Osei Sibientwi, who gave a briefing of the day-to-day operations to the Vice President Dr. Bawumia, disclosed that the entire process of enrolling onto the National Service Platform has been digitized, making it easier and more user-friendly. He also spoke about the introduction of new modules based on the specializations of the students, such as building technology, agriculture and accounting, and the fostering of relationships with relevant institutions. Mr. Sibientwi said the introduction of the Metric app, which combines facial recognition technology and identity card checks for verification and validation, and has so far blocked the enrollment of 14,027 potential fraudsters onto the scheme, which has saved the nation a huge sum of money. Vice President Dr. Bawumia said the country will be better off if the entire public sector employs digitalization and technology in their operations and services. He also noted that the benefits of digitalization designed to formalize the economy and fight corruption are evident for all. In a related development, management of the NSS Secretariat disclosed that personnel with a background in information and communication technology are receiving training in 24 locations across the country on developing and growing a business in the ICT sector. This is to harness the potential of information technology in the economy.
Management of the Ghana Airport Company has suspended the operation of the private jet terminal at the Kotka International Airport by Magdan Aviation. The suspension of the terminal follows what GACL describes as failure on the part of Magdan Aviation to comply with directives concerning security and financial obligation to the Ghana Airport Company. A statement issued by the Ghana Airport Company on January 24, 2022 indicated that though Magdan Aviation has met all operational requirements, it was yet to fulfill its financial obligations to Ghana Airports Company. This forms part of the requirement to convert Terminal 1 of the Kotka International Airport into a private jet terminal. A total of $4.5 million and 227,000 Ghana cedis, respectively, were the amount Magdan was expected to pay to the Ghana Airports Company. Also, as part of negotiating a payment plan, Magdan paid 1 million Ghana cedis on January 19, 2022, but is still yet to agree on a fixed-based operator license fee with GACL. Aside from the outstanding financial commitment, GACL on January 28 wrote to Magdan Aviation to postpone the inauguration of the private jet launch for various security breaches, but the company went ahead to inaugurate the private jet terminal on Friday, January 28, 2022. The private jet terminal is expected to facilitate the in- and outbound travel of high-end clients who visit Ghana for business, with top-notch flooring, finishing, small private meeting rooms, a spacious conference room, and world-class IT solutions for business on offer. The Magdan Group has also acquired 3 private jets to be managed by Magdan Aviation to meet the needs of the markets in the sub-region. The idea of a private jet terminal is to target all business players that want to catch up with a short business in the country or catch a flight within some short possible time. And that's it for business. The news.
Focus, every Wednesday at 9:05 a.m. live on GBC News, Unique 95.7, and all GBC regional stations, and on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and a repeat on the same day at 11 p.m. on GTV. Focus.